Hello, I'm Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. This is the fourth video in making the Beginners Sampler Quilt. Now remember, I will take you through all steps from beginning to end. Now, there are 12 blocks in all, so at the end of the video, you can get a current list of all the blocks made to this time. And it's a playlist, so you'll click on that link at the end of the video if you want to catch up to see what's been made so far. Okay, also in that end will be the supply list. That's also going to be added in there. All right, now let's look at the fourth block. Okay, this is the Hourglass. This is a really simple block to make. There again, I know it looks complicated, but it's really not. There are 4 different hourglass shapes in here, and no matter which way you turn it, you're going to see an hourglass. Okay, so I've made 2 that are the same and then 2 more of a different color. And this is my A fabric, my B fabric, and the yellow background is my C fabric. Okay, so let me show you what you need to cut out for this particular block. Again, all the finished size of the blocks is 12.5 by 12.5. For this block, you need to cut out 2 squares from fabric A and B, two of them from each color, 7.5 inches square. And then from fabric C, which is the background color, you'll cut out 4 that are 7.5 inches square. Now, if you're not quite sure how to cut out squares and rectangles and strips, review the video Tips for Cutting Quilt Fabric. And then this is the layout of the block. It shows you where all the different colors should land. Okay, now let's get started. On your background fabric, which is the yellow for me, have the back side looking up at you, all right? And take a ruler and you're going to draw a line from this corner to this corner. Okay, so draw that line there, either with a pencil or a fabric marker. Then you're going to put 2 lines on each side of the center line, 1/4 inch away. So take your 1/4 inch line on your ruler and place it on the center line. Place that on there and then draw another line. And then do the same thing on this side. Take the 1/4 inch line and place it on the center pencil line and then line it up and draw a line again, okay? So you'll have 3 lines when you're done. You're going to do this on all of your yellow or background squares. Then take each of the background squares and bring it right side together with your other 4 squares. There's 2 of fabric A and 2 of fabric B. So bring right sides together. And then you're going to stitch on the 2 outside lines here. Okay? Then press this with your iron. Then place the ruler back in the middle on that pencil line and then cut the blocks in half. You're going to do this to all 4, all right? So once you have them cut, you're going to turn it to where the dark side is up, okay? So turn the dark side up. And then with your iron, press on the seam, okay? Then open up the blocks, all right? And you're going to press again on the top side here, right on that seam, pressing it flat. Making sure that this seam here is going towards the dark side of the block. Do that on all of your squares, okay? Then take each of the 4 squares and you're going to cut them in half again. Now you're going to place the ruler on the point on the dark side and then on the point on the light side. All right? And then again, you're going to cut the blocks in half. All right, now take your blocks. Okay, they've been cut in half. Let me get the other one. And this one has been cut in half also. All right, now we're going to switch it just a little bit. You're going to take this one and bring it on over with this one, okay? And then take this one and bring it over here. Now, lay them out like this. Okay, I think you can see that hourglass now. Now, lay this one on top, and then this one on top. Okay, now you're going to match up your seams on all your blocks. Match up this center seam, making sure that the seam on the bottom is going in a different direction than the seam on top. Press it nice and flat. If it feels bumpy or dippy in there, you don't have it lined up right. Then, once you've got it lined up, place a pin to hold it, and then continue pinning across. All right, once you've got everything pinned, then stitch 1/4 inch along here. You're going to do this on all 4 of your blocks, and when you're done, it's going to look like this. Okay, you'll have 4 of these. I've got 2 with this bluish green and then 2 with that coral color. All right, so now you need to make sure that this block is 6.5 inches squared. Most of the time when you're making these blocks, they're never going to come out quite perfect because the fabric stretches and puckers, and so you need to always verify what size it came out at because you want your quilt to be even. So place the center line on your ruler. Mine's right here. Place that on the diagonal line of your block. Okay, so I'm going to place it on top. Then I want to make sure that everything is squared. So right now I have a little bit of fabric hanging out over here, and my 6.5 inch line over here, there's a little bit hanging over there, and also at this 6.5 inch line there's a little bit hanging over. So what you want to do is cut that excess off. Remember, we want all of the blocks 6.5 inches square. So here we go. Cut one side and then switch and go to, this side. Okay? Now you've got 2 sides cut. All right? Now you want to take this corner and bring it over here, like that. Now you're going to square up the other side. So take that diagonal line again, place it on your seam. Okay? Now you're going to take your 6.5 inch lines here and put them on the raw edge of the 2 previously cut sides, which are right here. You'll see now that I have a little bit of an overhang here and there. So you need to cut that off. And then switch and do your last side. And now you have a squared block. It's all nice and clean. Do this on all 4 blocks. All right? Okay, so now let's lay the blocks out. Okay, so lay your first 2 out like that. Then take your second 2 and lay them out like this. Okay, I've got to switch it here. There we go. Now I'm cooking. Okay, so now that you've got all your blocks laid out, you want to take the blocks on this side and fold them on top. Fold this one on top. And you're going to want to line up your seams. So in the corner here, you want to make sure your seams are going in the opposite direction of each other. Lock those seams in and pin it, and do it on the same thing in this corner. All right? Then finish pinning across. Now you're going to stitch 1/4 inch seam here and here. Okay? Now your next step is to do your pressing of those two seams. So now you want to turn both rows up like this to where the same colors are showing up at you, facing up at you. Okay? Now press the seams on both sides with your iron. Then open the block up. Whoops. Like that. And then like this. Okay? Make sure that the seams are pressed going in the same direction. They're going out towards this side of the blocks, of the rows, I mean. Okay, now lay them back out again like this. Okay? One more step. You're almost done. Lay this row on top. Okay, again, line up your seams, making sure the one on the bottom is going in a different direction than the one on top. Then make sure it's nice and flat in there. Then place a pin to hold it right here. Then line up the rest of the row and pin it across. Then stitch 1/4 inch seam along there. Now you have to do your final pressing. Now, it doesn't matter which side is facing up at this point, because this is your last seam. So go ahead and press the seam here, then open the block and press it one more time, making sure that this long seam here is going all in one direction, not half of it going towards one side of the block then the other half. Okay? Then you are done. Isn't that a cool looking block? Okay, now the next block is super easy, I guarantee it. It's called the lightning bolt. Isn't that cute? Now, one neat thing about this block is if you want to make a contemporary quilt, you can make a whole bunch of these blocks just like this and have these great big giant zigzags all the way across your quilt. Okay? Well, I hope that this was helpful to you. Remember, at the end of the video, click on that playlist, okay? Now, to keep informed on all my future videos, click on one of my subscribe buttons. There's one down there in the lower right-hand corner. It's red and it says subscribe. Then towards the end of the video, in the upper left-hand corner, is a picture of my face floating around up there. That's also a subscribe button. Click on any one of those. Then YouTube will prompt you for your email address. Enter that information, and then the next time I have a new video, YouTube sends you a brief email with a big button in the center. You click on it and it takes you directly to my latest video. I'm Cheryl. I'm really glad you came into my sewing room, and I'll see you next time, and happy sewing.